Welcome to the Animation Station Podcast, your home for discussions and debates about all things animation. Each week, we'll rank, review, and revel in animated shows from yesterday and today, and from around the world. So grab your Acme slingshot, set your mobile suit to autopilot, and put on your mouse ears. The Animation Station Podcast begins now.
All right, welcome to a special bonus episode of the Animation Station Podcast. I'm Gavin.
I'm Josh.
And today we have the privilege to be interviewing a voice actress, however you want to say it, Jade Saxton.
Yes, and I will say I'm dumb. So when I recorded my end...
They know.
Thanks. When I recorded my end's all on mono.
Oh, okay.
Hers is fine.
Okay.
But my portion is on mono, so I'm going to come out of your left ear, and she's going to come out of both.
Nice.
Yeah, so...
It'll be like you're an interviewer off to the side, asking me questions.
I'll just be like, hey.
Yeah, this is the one that I didn't get to participate in, so it was all you.
Yeah, this was back in February, so you were gone somewhere.
I was somewhere. I don't remember. But yeah, I'm excited to present this to our lovely audience.
Excellent. All right, want to go ahead and get into it?
Let's do it.
Interview! All right, guys, we have a very special guest today. We have the extremely talented Jade Saxton on the line. How are you, Jade?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. First off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Like you said, my name is Jade Saxton. A lot of people, it looks like Jad, but it's actually Jade. So I love getting to do interviews, audio or video, where I can explain that. I am a actor and ADR director and sometimes writer. But I've been voice acting for about 10 years now in the anime industry. But I also do some theater and occasionally some film. I live in Dallas, Texas with my boyfriend and my cat, Granger. Yeah.
Now, how exactly did you get into voice acting?
I found out about... I live in Dallas, Texas, like I said, so I found out about the company FUNimation. I found out that it's not in Dallas, but it's in a suburb of Dallas called Flower Mound. Mm-hmm. And when I found that out, I had been introduced to anime through a previous boyfriend that I had. And when I realized that that studio was here, I knew that I had to try and find a way in, because I thought, gosh, I would love to do that. Like, I would love to be an actor for that, and it's right here where I live. So I don't see why I couldn't at least try it out. Now, it did take quite a while. It took about 6 years before I could even get an audition. It's a little bit easier nowadays to at least like submit a demo or do something. But back then it was really like just who you knew and like networking a lot. And so I finally made the right connection, and through theater connections, through a friend of mine and who was also friends with Leah Clark, who is a voice actor, writer, director as well. And I got my audition with her, and she took a chance on me, and the rest is history, as I say.
Awesome. Now, so you were a fan of anime before you started becoming a voice actress. Do you have any favorite anime or cartoons or anything that you are really into?
I knew about DBZ and Transformers, which, isn't like a FUNimation thing, but it's definitely considered an anime through my boyfriend. I mean, I feel like back when I started like 10 years ago, and even prior to that when I was like learning about it, like it wasn't as accessible as it is now. Like now you can just stream everything. Yeah. So it would really just be like me every birthday or Christmas, like buying the newest like DBZ or the Transformers and like watching it with my boyfriend. So those are kind of the ones that I was more exposed to, besides the ones that, like from the 80s and stuff that were, I just called cartoons that were probably actually anime, like My Little Pony and He-Man and She-Ra and all that kind of stuff from when I was a kid.
Yeah, I remember the struggles of having to, try and find anime. Like, if you missed it on TV, like if it happened to be on Toonami or something like that, and then it was just gone, you would have to go to, like, FYE and try and find, like, a VHS copy. All those fun excursions.
Yeah, it was definitely like a struggle to find whatever specific new thing that had just come out. Like, and they were really. I mean, anime's always been a little like expensive, but I feel like back then it was like whoa. And then of course, if you talk to people who tried to buy like the VHSs, like back in the day, it was even more expensive. You'd get like 4 episodes for like $60 or something.
Yeah, it was not fun.
And now you can have a Funimation subscription for like $5 a month and watch all the anime you want. Kids today are spoiled,
Exactly.
But it's great. I'm spoiled too. I'm spoiled on like all the streaming services. I'm all about it. So.
Yeah, I mean, Funimation and Crunchyroll, which I kind of stay a little bit away from Crunchyroll, just because I mean they mainly do like the subs and everything, and I prefer the dubs. Mm-hmm. Just because it is in English, and I can do other things whilst, I watch. Like, if I get a text or something, if it's subbed, I mean, I'm going to have to pause it because I'll miss something. But, I mean,
right.
I love the dubs so much better.
Yeah, you have to be able to concentrate. Since I've started directing, I honestly have gotten more into the subs because I kind of had to. And so, I mean, my appreciation of them has grown because, it's like more a part of my job. And so I, before sometimes that stuff was available and it just depended, but like the way that it is now with streaming and all of that, you can definitely see more. And sometimes it's fun to watch both, but you do have to concentrate more. I do agree with that. So you have to be able to make sure you're not like, doing anything else.
Yeah, it's harder at lunch breaks, I can't really, pop something subbed on my phone.
Yeah.
Just, like, have to squint to read it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Now, as a director, do you have any sort of say or anything in who gets cast?
Absolutely, yeah. They give us,
awesome.
like, pretty much full anonymity, like, in that area. Like, that's something they really value. The only reason that, like, maybe they would say, hey, maybe not that person is just because like they have more access to knowing whether that person is available, like because they are the ones reaching out to their agent for us. So that would be the only reason that they would be like stepping in to say, I really don't think that's a good decision, is if they're like, that person is not available every week, because the way that we do simuldubs is, on a weekly basis, we do an episode per week. So we have to have someone that can come in at least once a week for maybe 12 to 24 weeks. It's a big commitment on their part to have that availability. So that's the only reason they would really step in. Or if they're like, oh, that person's already the lead in shows, maybe you shouldn't choose that person because they won't have a voice anymore. But other than that, yeah, you get complete anonymity. You get to choose, who you want. We all kind of reach out to each other, and especially being a new director, I definitely reach out to the other directors for advice on like, oh, hey, do you think this person would be right for this kind of part? Like, if I haven't worked with them a lot, like personally. So, I mean, that happens all the time. Like if you're up there, everyone's kind of, checking in with each other and like asking, and especially me as a new director though. Absolutely.
Gotcha. Now, this one's going to be kind of a 2-part question.
Sure.
From the acting side and the directing side. Like, with this new surge in, like, the voice actor market and, all these new things that are Funimation's getting the rights to, do you find it harder to land some work? Or is it a little bit easier because of your body of work? And on the directing side, is it easier to, try and find some of this new talent? Or do you, you want to go with some people that are more seasoned, but, is it easier to take a chance with all these new voice actors?
I think it depends. I'll answer the acting standpoint first. I think it's definitely been more work for all of what we call like the seasoned vets or whatever. Mm-hmm. Because there hasn't been a whole lot of time. Like a lot of times we don't get to have auditions anymore. And so they really are going with like people that they know are talented, experienced, and reliable, like those are 3, and, easy to work with. Those are the factors that kind of go into that. And so, I've been working a lot, and it's been really fun, because we are doing also, in addition to like the switch over to doing like mostly simuldubs, like we are doing even more shows now that we have the Crunchyroll merger. So, there's been a lot of work, and it's been really, really fun. From a directing standpoint, I'm pretty new, but here's how I kind of approached. I'm only in my second show ever directing, but for my first show, I did like want to use my kind of outside knowledge to bring in a few people that I thought, to give them a shot. But I also wanted to, really pepper in a lot of experienced people because I was learning myself. So, I mean, my first show was sort of perfect for that, directing Token Rambu, because it ended up having 46 different characters by the time the show was done airing. 46 like named like possible regulars like as part of the cast, and that's a lot of people. So, but I did bring in like some people who had maybe only ever done like Walla or One Piece, because One Piece is kind of the show where like they use everyone possible because it's so long running. Or I did bring in a few people that had never worked there before, like, and gave them a chance at, like a smaller role, and to see, because I've either worked with them on stage, most likely is how I knew about that, because I do a lot of stage work in Dallas. And so I was able to bring in, and, we get like demos all the time. And I mean, the thing about it is sometimes we'll get a demo from an out of towner, and like, this happened to me just the other day. I listened to it and I was like, this girl is really good, but I don't, like if she's can't be available, every week for 12 weeks, I can't use her. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Because the thing is about not knowing like what's going to happen on the next episode ahead of time, and like not having all of the content ahead of time, is you don't know if like it's just an episodic character. You don't know if it's going to end up being, someone who comes back and has like a 4-episode arc, and then you're like, well, crap, what do I do? Like, this person lives in New York or LA. And a lot of some of the LA peeps that used to live here, like, are used to flying out or managing that situation better, but new people, not necessarily, so it just depends.
Yeah, I could see that making it, pretty difficult, especially someone who lives out of state. Like, say they live in, like, Mississippi or something.
Yeah, that's
kind of a long drive to Dallas every week. I
mean, our Houston actors, I must be tired, because we do use a lot of Houston and Austin people. So I know they must be tired, but the New York and LA is a little bit trickier, because that's where we get the majority of people, like, is Austin, Houston, LA, and New York. Or they live here, because the rest of the time, like, it's not, like, they're not already living in another city where they can do work. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going on more of the the voice actor role, like, how do you get into prepare for a role? Like, say you've done the audition, everything's gone great, you get the role. How do you go into prepared? Do you like to watch everything beforehand, or as much that you can to kind of get a feel for the character, or do you kind of like to go in blind and kind of like experience everything like that this character is experiencing for the first time as well?
I kind of prefer the latter. I like to experience it as it's happening. And honestly, the way this business goes, that's the easier way to do it anyways, because I mean, we're already all working so much, and a lot of us are working on multiple projects at a time, and we can't, like, there's not enough hours in the day to, like, pre-watch all of the material we would have to pre-watch in the Japanese to, show up with, like, all of this, like, character development or whatnot. I mean, we're sort of hired to be these, like, go-to, quick on your feet, easy to direct actors. And that's sort of how we're trained, because, sometimes you could show up and, like, you may have a session you didn't even know you had. Like, so you're going in for a show that you're a regular on, but they're like, oh, by the way, we need to use you on this other show. And you just have to jump in and go for it. And you're relying on the director. And of course, like, we have a major resource right in front of us, which is that we get to preview the Japanese. And so we have the director explaining the story and the arc and what's going on. And then we can preview these beautiful visuals and get the general idea. And, you know, hopefully being trained within 1 or 2 takes, we can get it, you know?
Yeah, because we had Robert McCollum on, and he basically said the exact same thing, that he likes it better when he goes in, you know, kind of blind, too. And I thought that, you know, like, you know, growing up as a fan, I thought that it would be, you know, a little bit easier to have all of that, you know, information in front of you to kind of go off of it and, you know, research your character more. But, you know, after talking to you two, it does make more sense to kind of go into it like that.
Yeah, you're really relying. There have been situations where I could have, but I did not want to. Where before like all the simuldubs, like 3 years ago, when we were mostly doing like DVD releases, and we had all the content. Like when I did Michiko and Hachin, and I played Hachin, I could have pre-watched that entire series. I really didn't want to. Like I started to, and then like I just. As it got further along, I was like, I just want to like experience this as it's happening. And so I remember we got to do this really cool video commentary special feature for the DVD. And when we filmed it, I hadn't recorded like the last 2 episodes yet. And so I really still did not know what was going to happen. And I was trying to like, luckily that was a dub that was a long time coming, meaning like it had been out in Japan for 5 years, and like the sub had made its way over 3 years ago. And so we weren't dubbing it for like until 5 years after it even come out. So I wasn't like online, like seeing spoilers of stuff. Nowadays, like I see spoilers, Crunchyroll spoilers every day of like what's going to happen the next time on the show that I'm acting on. And so, you know, I have to either just like skip past them really quick or just be like, oh, okay, like that looks really cool.
Just avoid well, see, you can't even do that, because I mean, if you avoid the internet for a week, the next episode comes out by the oh man, yeah, that's gotta be rough.
Yeah, so I mean usually though, I mean there's some spoilers, but it's not like the whole thing or anything if I'm seeing anything on like Twitter, because I'm on Twitter a lot these days.
Kind of going off of that first question, when you have to do more of a mature role, like say like in High School DxD or Freezing, which are 2 of my roommates' favorites, do you find it easier to, I mean not easier, do you find it a little bit more difficult to prepare for that role? Like when you see your character kind of in a more adult-themed situation?
Sometimes, I mean, for Konako on DxD, like she's a little sassy, like in your face kind of girl. I mean, save for maybe season 3, in which I was like kind of cursing the whole time I was recording. I was like, really, this? Like, oh, come on. I wasn't like a super fan of where her story arc went in that season. I know there are mixed reviews. Like some people really agree with me, and some people are like, no, I liked it that she was like closer to Issei and whatnot. But I was like, man, I just want her to like go back to these like sassy one-liners and like jabs. Like, you know, I was all about that. That was easy for me to kind of do that. Freezing, I remember there was this series, like, didn't really ever feel really difficult. But I think the OVA was like, okay.
Yeah, that's
the thing, like...
Those are a bit crazy.
The OVA like really get me in a lot of situations where I'm like, okay, come on. Like, it's just... And then you just, like, honestly, like, sometimes I'm rolling my eyes doing it or finding a way to laugh through it. Because it's like, this is so beyond, like, I mean, it's all beyond reality, which is kind of cool. But, like, those situations are just, like, this is fan service, like, 100%. So I take it for what it is. I guess that's the best way to say that.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be kind of a tricky question to get into.
Because, okay, here's an example I can give you that, like, of a situation, an adult-themed situation that was really real and really cool to record was for Garo. I play Jimena in Garo, and she has, like, a real live, like, pre-sex scene where she's, like, making out with someone, and it was, like, really fully realized and, like, really an actual adult, like real situation, not like some chick like grabbing another chick's boobs and somehow making her turn into a weapon or something. I don't know. Like it was just a real like kind of scene, even though I know there were magical elements to that show. But in that, like that was really cool to perform and do that. So there's the contrast there, I guess. It was way less etchy and like more, just kind of what happens in real life, sort of.
Do you have any favorite characters that you voiced? Like who are some of your favorites?
That's always the hardest question I get. So I will say.
Okay, well, let's do this. Who are your least favorite?
No. No, they're like your children, I think some of my favorite projects that I've been involved with, I can say, is Wolf Children. Playing Yuki in Wolf Children has had like a lasting effect and like was really meaningful to me. And I've just had a lot of experiences where like I'm still get to revisit that one, and so it was really cool for me. I would definitely say Michiko and Hachin and Dimension W, because they were where I played Hachin, and Dimension W where I played Mira. Are two series that went to Toonami, so that was sort of really cool to like do it and then like see it there too, And then in the past year, Nona from Death Parade has been one of my new favorites for sure. She's such a cool character and such a cool story. Of course, I love Ferris from Steins Gate. And then talking about new, like recording right now series, I love playing Kana in Miss Kobayashi's Maid Dragon. So I guess I would say those. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's really hard because, I can think of things I like about all of the most of the characters that I've played.
Yeah, that's like asking somebody what their favorite TV show or book is. I mean, you can't really just pick one.
Oh, that'd be a way easier question for me.
Oh, really? Oh, what's your favorite TV show and or book?
Okay, well, wait. But, okay. Harry Potter.
Okay.
Yes, Harry Potter. Like.
Okay, here we go. Which one of the Harry Potters?
No. See, okay, I am a strong believer in that if it's a series, like, I don't like to separate them. Though I will say book 2 is kind of
Yeah.
But it ends up becoming so important, so, like, now I know why it exists.
Yeah, because, like, reading it, like, it's kind of like, whatever. Jenny, Basilisk, whatever. But then, when you get into 6 and 7, you're like,
oh, it was like, there was a reason. There was a reason. Yeah. I just really like series, including, like, movie series. I don't like to separate them. Like, I don't like to separate the Harry Potter movies or books or the Hunger Games, for instance, or even, like, Back to the Future, which is one of my favorite movie series. Yeah.
Nice. Now, I see that you've also done some video games. Do you find it a little bit easier or more difficult to do video games? Because I know it's a lot of efforts and everything when you do video games, like grunting and everything like that. Is it easier when you do that, or do you rather have like a script and kind of?
I think it's in a way it's harder. It's definitely. I mean, what I mean by that is it's harder on your voice. It's not necessarily harder acting wise. I think I've definitely done some animes that have definitely had way harder or way more intense emotional moments, or comedic moments that were like hard to pinpoint, and things like that. But on your voice, it's definitely harder because you're not previewing every cue in the Japanese first and then coming in and like taking a little break while the director like tweaks it or the engineer fixes it. You're not like taking those little breaks. You're just like go, like going down the line. And you're usually doing 3 takes each of every single line. Like they want 3 versions of this,
of the same thing for like the different, story elements.
Well, or they just want to be able to pick later on when they're going through it.
Okay.
They want to be able to say, oh, I really like that read, like that style of read. like how you can say, I like that flower. I like that flower. I like that flower. You know what I mean? Like, you can put a different spin on it, like really quick 3 times in a row. And then they're going to pick what they like in the moment when they get the animation. Now for the whole, like, attack left flank or, like, you know, go up the middle, like those you don't necessarily have to do as many takes of, because those are kind of going to be more consistent. But there are a lot of those. Those, like, whatever those sayings are that, you know, are left, right, middle, do this, you know, defend the fort, blah, 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 blah. Like, there's so many of those in a row that you're just like, ugh. And then you do have all the different screams, exertions, pain, stabs, like all of those. Yeah. It's just kind of like at the end of a video game session, you're just like, ugh, you just want to take a nap. But it's fun. It's really fun. It is more exhausting because there's not breaks. You're just looking at a script. You're not previewing any kind of animation.
Gotcha. Now, do you have any anime that, or roles, video games even, that you're not a part of that you would, like, it would be a dream or a privilege to be a part of?
I don't know,
kind of a loaded question.
I mean, I would love to be a part of Adventure Time. I would love to be a part of South Park, but that's probably never going to happen. Adventure Time might be more of a reality than South Park, but I love South Park so much. Video games, I'm so not a gamer. I'm so bad at video games. I have really bad motion sickness. And so every time I've tried to play the majority of video games that are not like stupid little phone app games, which maybe I could do one of those. Like,
yeah,
like,
I mean, that's a huge market.
I could
right
do
now.
that, but like the legit, like, you know, video games, like, I'm so, and Pokemon doesn't like have voices on the video game really. So, I would say Pokemon, but like, you know, I don't know. So that one's a hard one. Yeah. And then of course, like, it's sort of my dream to be on some kind of Disney cartoon, like, but that one, it really feels like a faraway kind of goal. 'Cause I feel like like Disney or Pixar, like they really use established celebrity voices a lot of the time.
Yeah, especially for the movies. Now, the series stuff, like the spin-off stuff,
Yeah.
well, I say that, but then, you know, Big Hero 6 is basically bringing the whole cast back for the
Yeah.
show.
So, I don't know. You know, that would be really cool to be able to do that. I'm not going to lie.
All right. Now, do you have any funny stories or anything about, you know, recording or getting a role?
I mean, I'm always so bad at this question. I wish I had, like, some amazing, I mean, I mostly have, like, embarrassing, like, moments or whatever. I guess I can say, like, one of the funnier stories about getting cast would be for Michiko, and well, it's not really funny. It's funny to me, for Michiko and Hachin, is going in and just basically doing the audition, because when we did the audition, we auditioned for Michiko and we auditioned for Hachin. And of course I read for Hachin first, because Michiko is kind of out of my wheelhouse. I mean, I'm versatile, but I just, I don't know. And so I went for it, and it felt like really comedic. And then I just remember leaving, like, being like, oh my God, like, I love this show, but there's no way. There's no way. And then I got it, and I just remember being in complete shock, because I think when I read for Hachin, I was like, oh, let me do that again. Like, let me have another pass. He's like, no, you're good. We're done. You know, I'll see you later. It was just so, like, whatever, that I was like, he hated me. I think I remember going to my car and, like, sort of crying a little bit and, like, calling someone, being like, I botched it so hard. And then when I got cast, I was like, what? You know, it was just sort of so surprising to me, because, and then I remember Bevan saying to me, like, don't second guess yourself. Like, your first read was so good. I knew you were that character immediately. And I was like, oh my God, like, it just goes to show you, like, us actors are so insecure. That happens sometimes.
What about any sort of bombs or anything that you've left or have been left for you while recording?
I mean, that happens like every day. It's really hard to remember. I think my favorite one was when Brittany Karbowski, who plays Wendy in Fairy Tale, and I play Carla in Fairy Tale, finally said, like, "You stupid effing cat," or something like that to me. And I was like, I so deserve that. Like, so deserve that. Like, she's such a little biatch, Carla is. I mean, she's kind of a lovable bitch, but, you know. Yeah, I think that was one of my favorites that I can remember. And then I left some, I keep talking about Michiko and Hot, but it's on my brain. I think I left some kind of funny ones for Monica back then. And I remember she left one for me, and it's been kind of ongoing ever since, like, where she called me Nugget. Like, she just would always call me Nugget. And she left me a bomb like that. And, like, she still calls me that to this day. She's like, "Hey, Nugget." I'm like, "Okay, hey." Like, chicken.
That's awesome.
Chicken nugget, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Jade, thanks so much for coming on. I mean, this has been super, super awesome.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Now, where can our listeners find you?
I'm on Twitter at Jade B. Saxton. So it looks like Jad, Jad, B as in boy, Saxton. I'm on there mostly a lot these days, you know, because there's so much happening. I'm also on Instagram at Jaderade, like Gatorade, Jadarade. And I'm on Facebook at Jad Saxton, voice actress. I also am on Snapchat now, too, at Jaderade.
Oh, awesome.
Jaderade JD. And I try and do things, especially when I go to conventions. I love to do Snapchat. I just love all those filters. It's really, really fun. Actors that haven't tried it, like, I try and get them on there. They're like, "I don't know what Snapchat is." And then I remember at a con recently, I got Jason Liebricht on it. And as soon as you put an actor in front of one of those filters, like, especially a voice actor, it's over. Like, they love it. They love it because it just makes your face into, like, a pig or a cat or something crazy, you know? So it's really fun. And I think I put, like, my whatever you call it, that little, like, square thing, I put that on my Instagram if people want to go, like, capture that or whatever. But all of those places, you can find me all those places. And I've been trying to be really good about, like, responding to people and, you know, keeping in touch if you tweet me or message me. So
yeah, thanks for listening to our tweets, our random "Hey, how's it going?" tweet.
Absolutely.
And we'll put all of that information in the not the comments, like the info section of the podcast. So if you need to click on anything, everything will be right there for you guys. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Josh L. Kane. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Animate Podcast, on Instagram at Animation Station Podcast, and we're available on iTunes and Stitcher. You can also go to our website, animationstationpodcast.com, click on the little podcast tab, and listen to all of our episodes. But yeah, I mean, that's about it. So again, Jade, thanks so much for coming on. It was great.
Thanks for having me, and thanks to everyone who's listening and supporting anime legally.
So for the Animation Station, I'm Josh.
I'm Jade. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. Am I supposed to say that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think we did it with
Thank you for listening to the Animation Station Podcast. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Animation Station Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Animate Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes. And join the conversation at SecretSuperheroClub.com, where you can connect with our podcast friends, Cloud City Cast, Getting Into Comics, and Shaun of the Gathering.